In fact, I was making such a discussions that we had. The real problem that they have, as Kissinger says, is there's just too many people on the planet. And 40% of the world, 2 billion of us, exist on less than $2 a day. The summary of the Global 2000 report I put up on my website, nohoax.com, but if you look at it, it makes sense to get rid of people. So what they said, they're going to make godlike decisions on who lives and who dies. Now, obviously, some of the meetings we sat on, we were planning on using neutron bombs on the major cities, because that contains most of what they call...
You actually heard this?
I sat in on the meetings. I was in the game big time. In fact, I was making such a mess, they decided rather than kill me, which they could, they just invited me into the inner group and asked me to be the finance chairman. And at that point, I probably would have been in, Secretary of the Treasury or something, whatever, making it right. I would volunteer to become a president of a company, and I'd go in and liquidate it. And we get rid of the expendable containers. That was my job.
Expendable containers meaning human beings?
That's right.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's
well,
really
that was
inside
terminology.
Vernacular, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, well, that's what we used at that time. I mean, it went from there to useless eaters today, so you're happy with it, you're a human resource. So, which, all you are is part of the commodity, even in the business sense. You look at it, you have a cost. Labor, what is labor? Human resource. When you're going to put together some kind of product. Well, the inside of the game, when we started using neutron bombs, today they figure that biologicals are much cheaper. They're still planning on, the plan is to get a war started in the Middle East, and they're still planning on using a neutron bomb, or one of the bombs that they've got developed on Israel, and that's to begin World War III, which is all in the cards. And it's going to happen. They even put a monument up for this whole program. It's called the Georgia Guidestones. Outside of Atlanta, and they've got it all set down there. It's all in 8 languages. I'm fast enough. I mean, Carter put this thing in, so we have the Plan 2000, with the war starting in the year 2000 in the Middle East. Reduce the population of the planet down to 500 million, have one world currency under the Homeland Security, or FEMA if you want to call it. They're going to declare an emergency, which are going to shut down everything. My friends, my CIA associates, I don't even call them friends anymore. CIA is crooks in action. They're all professional liars. I mean, they got to be if they have that job. So that you have to look at what they're doing. Anyway, they're so concerned, they're leaving the country too. Most of them are going to Latin American camps. I published a book. It's called Chaos in America. In it, I was asked to build an enemy prisoner of war camp. I put the contract in this book, so you can read it for yourself. This is in downtown Las Vegas, right on the railroad tracks. It says enemy prisoner of war camp. They're all on top. And they're building them all the way across the United States right now. Army places that we shut down to get those organized to hold the so-called dissidents. Now, what's the definition of a dissident? And the problem is that we're going to enslave ourselves, because most of the people want to keep having food coming in, and you're going to follow the line. You're just walking yourself into your own prison camp. Then we're going to come down to the extermination, just like World War II. Well, Phil and I have lectured together. I know Phil Snyder. He's dead now.
Yeah, I know he's dead. And so what about what he was saying about the number of bases at that time? I think it was 129 bases before he died. Underground had already been built. Is that all for the elite?
Yeah.
Really?
What are they going to do with the rest of the people? They just get rid of them, leave them above ground, and be radiated. Now, my son happens to be a nuclear physicist. Spent the last 3.5 years in a secret city in Russia. They're about 12 years ahead of us. They have 22,000 nuclear warheads. And of course, we're the target. The Soviets have 3 nuclear submarines on the west coast and 3 on the east coast. They're about 2 football fields in length, 5 stories tall, and they all are nuclear power. And nuclear here will be a lot more than the southern hemisphere.
And this is a fait accompli, you believe?
Oh, they think so. Oh, yeah, they think they've won. That's the reason why they don't bother about me talking about it. They don't care whether you know or not. What are you going to do about it? And you have no idea.
You seem to be in a unique position to be able to put a fair amount of this together, which is quite interesting.
Well, I walked my talk. I played the game.
You played the game. You know one level of it.
And I know. I used, like I say, I used to play around with the world leaders, so I know what they're planning on doing.
What change of heart? What happened in you that made you decide to share this information that happens at the inside levels?
Well, it come back to a moral situation that happened to me, I think. When I flew to Aspen. I brought my two daughters up there so they could go, go skiing. And when I was invited to this meeting. When I walked into the room, the world leaders were there. That's when they asked me to be the finance chairman. As they said, we'd like you to be the finance chairman for the next president of the United States. And the first thing I asked is, why me? And they said, well, we owe you a favor. Remember I told you I volunteered to be president of the companies as I went down?
And then you liquidate, yeah.
I didn't charge them anything for it. It was just a game.
I see.
And anyway, that's what they said.
So I thought you'd be good on the team, yeah.
I'd be a team player. I just did it because it was, another one of these things. So next thing I asked them, I said, well, wait a minute, I just started this $100 million project. And they said, don't worry about it, we'll put it on ice. And I said, okay, who with? And I said, well, you can do that. Then I said the next thing was, who is going to be the next president? Now, this is 2 years before he became president.
Right.
And they said Jimmy Carter, and I said, Jimmy who? And they said, well, he's the Democratic governor of Georgia. And I said, I've been voting Republican. And Paul Volcker said, son, don't worry about it, we control them both.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I got the next question is, what does a finance chairman do?
Yeah.
I haven't been doing that. I've been playing all this other stuff. They said, will you sit down with Ted? And so I sat over with Ted Kennedy. He's sitting right next to me. And Ted and I are, he's just joking. He says, George, you're going to love this job. You're really good with money. We're going to send you out to all the state Democratic functions to raise money for the National Democratic Party. And he said, you're going to meet some real foxy ladies. And just then, my daughter walked in. Ted looked at her and he says, wow, I want to go to bed with that. I says, no, you don't, Ted. That's my daughter, and she's 14. And his response to me was, I don't care. I was livid. I really didn't know what to do.
So it was that moment
Well,
of
wait a
that
minute.
personal insult.
That was part of it.
Yeah.
I got up and I walked across the room.
Yeah.
I then talked to Pierre Trudeau and his wife, who was the Prime Minister of Canada at that time. And I'm sitting in front of them was a little half cigar box full of white powder. And then I'm looking around the rest of the room. I said, my God, something hit me at that point. If the world leaders have to resort to this, I don't think I want to be part of this thing. At that level. And then I found out a little bit more about the details of the Plan 2000, of the annihilation of the entire planet. I said, I got to stop these people. There's something there. I mean, they got to be stopped.
Nuclear has a problem because nuclear is the only thing, nuclear energy, if it goes off, will destroy the soul energy. Real problem. It disrupts it. The extraterrestrials are monitoring all that. It's not a question of what's going on because there's a thing called free will. If we're crazy enough to kill ourselves, that's all right. They're prepared to encapsulate the planet and make another sun out of it. There's groups of extraterrestrials that are considering us, that they engineered us in the first place. I've been traveling around some places like in Ecuador where the Anunnaki and stuff have things where they were originally involved. You can read about it in Genesis, where they were engineering people. We're engineered. We're all extraterrestrial. And when you leave this, what I call rent-a-wreck, this body, you become an extraterrestrial, right? This soul continues the journey whether it's here or not. And there's no such thing as death, only with that one exception that the ETs told me. If we get hit by a nuclear, there's a possibility. So what you have to do every day when you do the little prayer, and I hope you all do, I'm a human becoming, help me become, ask for protection and guidance daily. I don't care where you live. There's going to be places that are safer than others. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. I mean, I'm behind time. The Plan 2000, just so you know, calls for war to get started in the Middle East in the year 2000. Now, they've been trying to do it, haven't they? How much bombings do you have to put up with? Israel was set up in 48 specific. Guess who supplies Iran with all the nuclear technology? Russia. Down there. You know what our government's planning on doing? Burning radiation. Does that make any sense to you? We've already tried this experiment, right? It's all microwaves. You people don't realize when you put a cell phone up to yourself, you're microwaving yourself. And it's all done by the microwave towers we're aiming at the ground. They don't go up in the air anyway. It's all line of sight. People don't realize that. If you have a cell phone, I have one, but I only use it as a speaker phone, so it's held away from me.